أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله حق حمده والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحة ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا وشاكرا وتوبة نصوحا ربي يسر ولا تعسر ربي تمم بالخير ربي زدني علما وفهما وألحقنا بالصالحين اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع وقلب لا يخشع ودعاء لا يسمع وعمل لا يرفع ونفس لا تشبع ربي يسر ولا تعسر ربي تمم بالخير ربي زدني علما وفهما وألحقنا بالصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا قدوس يا سلام لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My respected brothers and very respected sisters, Jazakumullah khairul jaza for joining us this evening on this beautiful cold Tuesday evening in Melbourne, Australia. We are going through the Munabbihaat attributed to the great Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalaani rahimahullah, al-Munabbihaat Alaa al-Isti yawmi al-Ma'ad. This little booklet consists of nasiha, advices and counsels for those people who want to enhance, develop their spirituality, their understanding, fine-tune their mindset. And we're going through some of his advices, mainly made up of a hadith of Prophet ﷺ and sayings of the companions and Salafus Salihin and some of the ulama, full of wisdom. For Rasulullah ﷺ says, "Alaykum bi mujalasati al-ulama wa istima'i kalam al-hukama." I urge you to sit in the company of the ulama and listen earnestly to the sayings of the wise ones. For verily, because of their words, the nur that emanates from their words, the light that emanates from their words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will revive a dead heart. The heart of a person, which the food of heart is wisdom, wahi, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hikmah. It's like he says, like barren land comes alive when the rain comes in. That how the soil revives, dead hearts also become alive again. Alhamdulillah, we've been going through and we are on page 59, end of 59, and we will try to cover page 60 inshallah also from our handouts, which is available here. However, there is a note, somebody have asked me to remind you, quite a few people have SMS'd us saying that they could not connect on the internet live streaming. This is perhaps due to the overwhelming demand for connections. We have a limited capacity for the time being because we are going through some test phase, and inshallah soon it will open. So first come, first serve. Many people were connected, however certain people have complained that they could not connect it, and maybe it is to do with their end or perhaps it's to do with our server end. So inshallah ta'ala, we will try to address that problem as quickly as possible. Our technical staff is working on it very hardly. And however, everything boils down to certain finances, because the larger connections, the large number of connections requires larger amounts of dollars. There is no da'wah work without dollars, without finances. So, inshallah ta'ala, if you are concerned about this, if you value this particular service to you, to your family, and to your environment, and inshallah perhaps you should get in contact through ymatv.com email, and you can talk to our technical staff if you want to contribute financially towards this particular course, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair jaza, just for that little plug-in. Now, let's continue with our material. In the very last hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "An-najwa yuhassinu al-asrar, was-sadaqa yuhassinu al-amwal, wal-ikhlas yuhassinu al-a'mal, was-sidq yuhassinu al-aqwal, wal-mashwara yuhassinu al-ara." Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, najwa, discreetness, keeping secrets, not divulging in other people's secrets, safeguards secrets, asrar. We have looked at this in a very obvious manner last week, that some people are diseased with this disease where they cannot keep any secrets, and if you leave the secret, if you let the secret out of your heart, it never is yours any longer. As long as it stays in your heart, it is your slave. As soon as it leaves your heart, you become the slave of that particular sir. Somebody sent me a little SMS and requested a question, asked a question, saying that is it only to do with the asrar, secrets between human beings? That could be, that's the zahir, the obvious understanding of it, but there is also another aspect to this. This is to do with batin. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives certain asrar to some of His servants who are close to Him, who are ahlul taqwa, ahlul haya, the people of great ibadah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens their heart, so to speak. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows them certain dreams. They see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on regular basis, perhaps in their dreams. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows them certain things. They pray at Kaaba, every salat almost, perhaps, Allahu alam. Certain maqam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon this particular person. The moment that you divulge in this secret, telling other people, 99.9% of the time, this particular ability will be removed from you. Because it is a secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a karama. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. It is that relationship that you have. The moment that you open your mouth and you begin to talk to people that, I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in my dream, what do you think? That is the borderline, depending on who you are, of riya, showing off, I am better than you approach. Therefore, when you see a dream as such, when certain maqamat is given to you, the best is to keep it to yourself, and if you have a spiritual sheikh, a teacher, maybe in order to get interpreted, you can ask that person who will keep your secret, not for any other reason. So this is something, an asterisk that we can put as a second meaning for the najwa, discreetness of keeping asrar, secrets. Sadaqah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to us, safeguards wealth, ikhlas, sincerity, safeguards amal. Actually, without ikhlas, no amal is accepted in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever. Sidq, truthfulness, safeguards speech. That's the way to be a person of dignity and honor and respect. A Muslim never lies, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. And mashwara, consultation, discussing an issue with the relevant, qualified people, is safeguards your own, making mistakes on your own. Some people are full of themselves. Their ra'i, their opinion is the most important thing. This is from Nafsul Ammara. A good Muslim is a person, before he decides on major things, he discusses with people. And if he's in a position of authority, like head of the house, he still discusses this with his family members, his relatives and what have you, a major issue, then he decides. At least he has consulted other people and got some second, third, fourth opinion. But if a person just rushes into a particular position or some decision without making any mashwara, any istishara, which is wajib to do so in certain matters, in that case, he makes lots of mistakes. He falls on his face. Therefore, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying is, when you make mashwara, when you discuss issues that is of concern, major proportions, with people who are in a position to give you help, like if you have a medical problem, you go and see a doctor. Not you don't go and see a person who is a vet. A vet is a specialist for animals, a doctor for the animals. Some person actually sued in the history a particular vet in the court, Islamic court, magistrate, because he says, I was sick and he was the only person available in my environment at that time, a vet, animal doctor. So he said, I had my eye is sore, and probably some infection of some kind. He says, do you have any medicine for it? He says, yeah, I have. We usually use it on the cows here. When they have this infection on their eyes, put it on. So he puts it on this eye. Yep, it goes away after a week or so. But his eye has also enlarged. Probably it was some steroid of some kind. For some reason, his eye is bigger than the other one. He says, yet it got cured, but it got enlarged in size. And not only that, he says, I also, when I see a green grass, my eyes also go that way. The magistrate dismissed the case. He says, it's your own stupidity that you went to an animal doctor who gave you an animal medicine, suitable for the animals. So he says, it is not his fault. You are the one who asked for it. So if you have a problem of some kind that requires medical attention, if you go and ask somebody who's not qualified medic, or if you have some marriage problem, if you go and ask your best friend for advice, who is not married and has got no idea of what marriage life is, and then if they advise you wrongly and if you do the wrong thing, it is your own fault, and that's not called mashwara. Mashwara, istishara, has to be done with people who are qualified to do so. So this is a nasiha from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today's material, inshallah, we shall start. It is a hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن في جمع المال 5 أشياء العناء في الجمعه والشغل عن ذكر الله تعالى بإصلاحه والخوف من سالبه وسارقه واحتمال اسم البخيل لنفسه ومفارقة الصالحين من أجله وفي تفريقه 5 أشياء راحة النفس من طلبه والفراغ لذكر الله من حفظه والأمن من سالبه وسارقه واكتساب اسم الكريم لنفسه ومصاحبة الصالحين لفراقه. I deliberately read it slowly because people also complain on the internet, the ones who don't have the copies, saying that we cannot understand the reading of the hadith. We read it for barakah, tabarrukan. The whole point is to understand the hadith and act upon it, inshallah ta'ala. This actually is a warning from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for those people who has given their hearts to this dunya and they want to become rich at all costs. Halal or haram, they don't care. Therefore, day and night they chase this worldliness, this dunya. This particular hadith is a warning and a reminder for the rest of us. What does Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says? In the gathering of wealth, amassing wealth, there are 5 blameworthy things. If you only chase this wealth, this dunya, without any regard to halal or haram, giving haqq, due haqq to your body, to your family, to your relatives, to your neighbors, to people, your teachers, your da'wah, but you neglected everything, you just want to pursue this dunya. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, there are 5 things is upon you, blameworthy attributes. So you will be afflicted with 5 problems. What are they if you are just chasing the dunya? Wearing oneself out in gathering it, day and night, both mental stress, physical stress will be on you because you're just chasing dunya, a dream. You get up early in the morning, you work until 12 o'clock midnight, and even if you come home and you can't sleep, you miss out your children, stress from your family life, stress from your business life, stress everything, just stress upon stress upon stress. Secondly, neglecting the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dhikrullah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in preserving that wealth, because you're too busy trying to manage, trying to plan, trying to keep, buy and sell, and whatever the case is, your mind is constantly preoccupied with the dhikr of your wealth, not the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yet we are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remember Him. اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا فسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with much remembrance. How much? Day and night. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if you are able to, do not leave this world. Do not leave this world whilst your lips are still moist with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A Muslim's heart is constantly occupied with dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When our hearts are constantly in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens? Actually, it starts with our tongue. This is one of the most common questions our youth ask. When is it going to happen? It's going to happen. How? You continue first making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your tongue, on your tongue. La ilaha illallah. There is none worthy of worship in my heart except Allah. Some of our mashayikh, they say, when you say La ilaha illallah, you put your head down into your heart, you take everything out other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La ilaha. You took everything out. There is no God other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because everything else is occupying your heart. Anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart is a false God. Then what do you put back in? Thrust into your heart, illallah, except Allah. And you say this constantly with your tongue. Man, where is my heart? I can't even say my heart. It's not the flesh we're talking about. But you say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no power, there is no might, nothing in the universe other than with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who could do anything. Bring any goodness or khair, benefit to me, or bring any harm to me. Allah is the one who controls everything. Allah has the power, Allah has the might. Allah is the one who enables us to do anything, or Allah is the one who doesn't allow us to do anything, depending who we are. Once you begin to say these things on regular basis on your tongue, what will happen? Like when you repeat something so many times, if it's a song, you memorize it. And if you watch a movie so many times, what happens? You begin to memorize the characters, you begin to fall in love with the characters, you begin to, you really like it. And sometimes you even get deceived by the movie, and you think that you're in that world. That's some deception. some fantasy world. You begin to imagine that you're in Hollywood, some romantic movie. In this case, dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the cure for the hearts, which is the steroid for the hearts, which is the nourishment for the hearts. From your tongue, those things that you keep on saying, La ilaha illallah, there is no God except Allah, you begin to believe in it. You begin to believe in it. Your mind is beginning to click. It says, hold on, maybe it is true. Maybe it is true. Eventually, initially you don't believe in it. You say you believe, but not in reality. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. If you were to truly believe in it, you'll be the best Muslim on earth. If you truly believed in La ilaha illallah, you will never go through this ups and downs like zigzag in this life. Because you will be a tranquil Muslim at the level of nafsul mutma'inna. So your heart begins to believe in, through dhikrullah, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if your heart is occupied with everything other than the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens? You are left on your own. Especially if it's dunya, it's even worse. Our ulama calls the heart the palace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No sultan, no king will ever come to the palace if the palace is occupied by squatters. Where does Queen Elizabeth II, our queen, lives? Buckingham Palace? Yep. Can you imagine she went to somewhere else, or a holiday, Australia? When she came back, all the rabble, the squatters of London, they went into Buckingham Palace, and they are enjoying themselves. They kicked everybody else. No guards, nobody left in the palace. When the queen comes, will she go into a palace? Definitely not. She will command that particular palace has to be cleansed and disinfected. And all the fittings and furnishings has to be absolutely perfect for Her Royal Highness to come into the palace again. We understand this. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His love, His muhabba, His ma'rifah, His knowledge, will not come into our hearts if our hearts are preoccupied by worthless things like worldliness. There is a hadith of Prophet ﷺ that really scares me. It is recorded by Ibn Hibban, وقال إسناده صحيح على شرط مسلم. It's a sahih hadith where Rasulullah ﷺ says, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله يبغض كل جعظري جواظ سخاب بالأسواق جيفة بالليل حمار بالنهار عالم بأمر الدنيا جاهل بأمر الآخرة صدق رسول الله أو كما قال. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Allah hates the man, the human being, who is harsh in his character, swears a lot, he's got no akhlaq, no mannerism of any kind, he's coarse in his character, not refined, eats much like an animal, he's obese, he is a connoisseur of food, he shouts in the marketplace. He's got no haya of any kind. Constantly screams, $1, $1, $1, $1, $5, come and get it. Red specials all day long. Or advertises constantly. He's on the internet constantly. Keep sleeping at night like a corpse. Dead carcass. Because he's so tired during the day, physically exhausted. In the day, like a donkey, stuck in the worldly affairs. He knows his business. He knows how to make money. Well aware of the worldly matters. He knows everything about dunya. And utterly ignorant, jahil, about matters of hereafter. Is this why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you? Definitely not. So, a person who's afflicted with this disease of accumulation of wealth, people are asking me to read that hadith again. Rasulullah says, Allah hates the man who is harsh in character, eats much, shouts in the marketplace, keeps sleeping at night like a corpse, in the day like a donkey, stuck in the worldly affairs, well aware of worldly matters, and utterly ignorant about matters of hereafter. Sahih hadith from Ibn Hibban, rahimahullah. So, automatically, when your heart is occupied with other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially wealth in this regard, because your heart is too occupied, your mind is too occupied with preserving your wealth that you have accumulated, you will neglect the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this remembrance is not just saying La ilaha illallah subhanallah or any other dhikr. We're talking about even your salat. Even your daily salat you will neglect. You will not have time to come to Jum'ah. You will be too busy. Allah will take this ni'mah away from you because you do not care about salat any longer. Initially you were feeling guilty. And initially you said, okay, I'll make qada when I get home. But a time has come because you're too busy. You don't have time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah let you be with your own devices of your nafsul ammara. You no longer feel any guilt, any remorse in your heart, even for neglecting salat, which is another form of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You used to read Quran on every morning, Surah Yasin, or Surah Kahf on Yawm al-Jum'ah, or you used to read Surah Al-Fatih after Dhuhr, or Surah Al-Waqi'ah after Maghrib. You used to read Surah Tabarak before you go to sleep. You used to read Amma Yatasa'alun after each Asr. You used to have awrad. All of a sudden, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala graduated you from your university, and you went into a business, and you're now making money. You know how to make money, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving it to you as an imtihan, as a test, but you have completely got rid of, neglected the habits that you used to have when you're young, including eventually salat and siyam. Sometimes you come up with the excuse that, oh, my body requires my physical, my physical prowess and mental alertness has to be intact when I'm meeting with people, because my mouth is smelling when I meet the company leaders and company directors, and it's very important. Today I'll skip fasting. Yeah, the following day you skip fasting again. The following day you skip fasting again. What happens to you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes this ni'mah of making dhikr, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ibadah, away from you. And not only that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, you'll always harbor the feeling of fear of the people who will steal your wealth and property. Stealing in many sense. If it's physical, there will be always competition. There will be always your company is under threat. If you're not on top of things, if you do not, always continue with your marketing and aggressive marketing, the competition will take over and you will lose your company. Therefore, this fear is a bala, an affliction in your heart that you're day and night worried. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wears you out physically, mentally. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the dhikr out of your heart completely. You don't remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're too busy remembering your wealth. And thirdly, you have too much of a fear of the people who will take over your company or your business, robbers and thieves. And the Muslim community will begin to call you, being labeled as a miser, bakhil, on account of it. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, leaving the company of the righteous due to it. Because you'll be bakhil, you'll be too busy. The people, the salihin, the people have the balance. Salihin, the people have the balance. The salihin, I'm repeating again the word salihin because I'm going to tell you a hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You will not keep the company of the salihin any longer. Salihin are the people who are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah commands us in the Quran, وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Be in the company of the people who fear Allah, who know Allah, who remember Allah, who are practicing pious people, because our characters are contagious. If you are in the company of a good Muslim, salih Muslim, sister or brother, that particular behavior wears on you. You begin to imitate each other, because we are creatures of imitation. We have learned behavior through imitation. When we're little children, we want to dress up like our mothers. We want to dress up like our fathers. We want to do what our fathers and mothers used to do. And our elder brothers and sisters do. This is our behavior. Have we learned behavior? Similarly, if you are in the company of good people, you learn good akhlaq, good mannerism, good behavior. You speak the truth. You are a person of ibadah. You are always generous. You're not bakhil, you're not stingy, you're not selfish. But if you are in the company of a bad person, then no matter what you do not do initially, you will begin to take something out of the character of that person. I see this many times with young children. I hear this from many of the parents who change their children's schooling from an Islamic school, an Islamic environment, to the so-called secular system. When they go into, all of a sudden they notice their children are swearing, beginning to swear. Before, they will not even use the S word, meaning stupid or silly. Now they are, every second word is a French to them, and they speak to each other. Why? Akhlaq is contagious. You collect roses, that's your job. Your hand will smell with roses. You will feel that roses. But if you collect sausages, you work in a butcher shop, no matter how vegetarian you are, you will stink sausages and rotten meat, carcass. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says the company that you keep is very important. You are upon the religion of your company, your friends. It's good friends, like the people you work. It says a person who sells atar, perfume. If you sells perfume constantly, day and night, you hang around with him, every now and then he will say to you, oh, this is a new one. This just came from Dubai, or from what they call Khorasan, or from Afghanistan, or from somewhere. He says, this is the best one, man. Really good. Okay, how about this one? Oh, this is from something else. Oh, you'll get beautiful perfume. Nice. But if you work in a blacksmith shop, blacksmiths don't exist anymore, but the rotten butcher shop, and you will stink like butcher. No matter how many showers you take in a day, you still stink like a butcher, because you're dealing with meat and bacteria. That's how it is. Why did I use the word salih? It seems like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is putting down the people who want to, become rich. Definitely not. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, towards the end, wealth in the hands of a salih person is the best thing. The wealth, richness, money, property, assets in the hands of a salih, good Muslim, switched on Muslim, a person whose heart is full of taqwa, who dunya did not enter his heart. He knows that this is a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Uses his wealth to serve his deen, to serve his community. Use it wisely, in halal possible way, in every possible way. Halal, in order to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. This is very good, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. Can you imagine? I just made an announcement before. There is no Islamic da'wah work in the 21st century without finances. Or it was before, doesn't matter. Muslims, the people who call themselves Muslims, who value the education of their children, who value their deen, must give the same priority, if even higher priority, than their own jobs they get money from, or their business ventures they get more money from. They want to make money, they must give certain amount to their da'wah work. I'm not asking you to give money to me, na'udhu billah, to your da'wah work, because no da'wah ever works without money. The richest institution in the world is the Vatican Church. Do you know why? Because every Christian, Catholic, pays certain amount, and they bequeath their assets when they die to the church, in the name of getting a golden key for the paradise. Okay. In their batil thinking, they believe and they give by the thousands, but Muslims' hands shake when they want to give any money to da'wah. They choose the smallest, what do you call? Money, $5 out of hundreds. Is there a $5 bill? Because hundreds, oh, it's the wrong one. $5. Here's a $5. Dawah will never flourish. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, when we are in trouble, if you have those 5 qualities in you, that means you're Ahlul Dunya. But if you're a Muslim who's rich, may Allah make you rich inshallah. Halal source. But you're a switched on Muslim, you come and give. This is for the mosque. We still cannot pay the utility bills of the mosque. This is a center where thousands of people come in a week. Thousands. Thousands of people benefit from the center, and yet we cannot pay for the what? Utility bills, electricity bill, water bill, rates, insurance, you name it. Everything is falling apart. Why? Muslims do not care. It's not in their priority list. They want to pay for their son's 3rd Nike shoe for their birthday, pay $300 for a Nike shoe, but when it comes to da'wah, they send their children to Islamic school here, to madrasa. We send 27 letters reminding that they have to pay their, tuition fees. They say, no, I've got so big family and I can't pay any money. Excuses from shaitan alayhi la'an. I'm speaking bitterly to you, but there are some good Muslims, mashallah, on regular basis they come and contribute. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala get rid of this disease from our hearts and put that true understanding, mindset, like the Salihin. Wealth in the Salih person is such a ni'mah. Such a ni'mah. So second part of the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, in distributing one's wealth to the poor, when you give sadaqah, when you give charity, when you fulfill, when you become the Salih Muslim, the one who understands the value of wealth and utilizes to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure, for those people, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, there are 5 praiseworthy things awaiting them. What are they? Completely opposite of the 5 that we just discussed before. Ease of mind due to abandoning its amassing. You say, I'm just a trustee. What am I going to do with all this wealth? I have enough wealth to last me 20 lifetimes. Halaluhu hisabun, haramuhu adhabun, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. If you acquired this wealth from halal sources, you shall be questioned, audited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment until your last penny, cents. And if you earned it from haram sources, may Allah help you, because it will be the cause for adhab, punishment in Jahannam. Halal is halal? Yep, sure. But what are you going to do with so much halal if you're not utilizing to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure? Bro, I've got $40,000 in the bank. What are you doing with the $40,000? Islam asks you to circulate that money. Use that money for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or use it in business to get it more. Money cannot stay idle. Money has to be utilized in an Islamic economy, or in our economy, so to speak. You cannot just sit on the money. What if you die tomorrow? Your children, the people that you work so hard, is going to benefit from it, inshallah, very good. But majority of them will not understand the value of that money. You wish, you wrote it down in your will. I want you to give $40,000 for the Koberg Mosque. As sadaqah, charity. Rubbish, they will never give you. No matter how much they love you, they will not. I see it time and time again, people don't do it. Whatever you send with your own hand as a sadaqah, it goes with you. You've done it. You have done it. So don't be fooled by dunya or the waswas of shaitan alayhi la'na. When you want to give sadaqah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Allah, sizable sadaqah, real, serious sadaqah, He will put onto you 90 of the shayateen who are experts in changing your mind. He will try to change your mind so you don't give any. But at the moment, majority of you are students, but the people are watching over the internet, the families, alhamdulillah, some of them have wealth, they have to think of this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, as human being gets older, two things will get younger in his heart. One is desire to live longer and desire to accumulate more wealth. Two things. But a switched on Muslim is not. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never left a dinar, a gold piece with him. Even in his last day, he passed on to people, fuqara. Give it, give it. Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu, one of the Ashara Mubashshara, one of the greatest companions, whom Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam given the glad tidings to him that he shall go to Jannah. He was one of the richest companions of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha says, during the time of Umar or after, we will hear the caravan of Abdurrahman ibn Auf coming into the city of Medina. Caravan is, can you imagine, a train of the olden days with 50, 60, 100 wagons attached to it, with full of commodities. He says his camels will walk into, because we can hear from our rooms with the not the bangles, the bells around their necks making noise as they walk past the streets. He says until, from Fajr time until the Asr of next day coming in. He says within a week or so, he will distribute everything for free for Ahlul Medina, the people of Medina, and go back and do it again. What kind of wealth is this? What kind of generosity is this? This is the generosity of a person whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put qana'ah into their hearts, and they know what is wealth for. The wealth is to be used to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure, not for accumulation. That's what the nafs wants. Hirs, greed, one of the diseases of nafs al-ammara, they want constantly accumulate, spend it, my money will be less. No, spend. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes yameen, he takes an qasam, oath. He says, Wallahi, sadaqah, charity will not lessen your wealth. You give, Allah will give you more. But people who don't believe in Allah or the Rasul in this regard. So we just want to bring a balance to the equation that we've been talking about before. So, ease of mind, he will be happy, alhamdulillah. He's not worried. Abandoning its messing. Having time to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rather than worrying about preserving it. If a person is in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's not worried about what's going to happen to his wealth. Because Allah is in charge of everything, because Allah takes care of things. Your rizq is fixed. You worked, you accumulate, you al-kasibu, habibullah, yes. Working for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trying to gain wealth for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you your rizq, because you're doing the right things, not a problem. Yep, inshallah ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that worry of your competitors or your competition is going to take over, your company is going to be liquidated, you're going to lose your assets and what have you. It's all utter nonsense. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. When you make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no might, no power, no harm will ever come to you unless Allah wills. You've got nothing to worry. You do the right things, you follow the procedure, you do everything by the law, you don't cheat, you don't, lie to people, and you do the right things. Allah is the one who gives the rizq. Allah is the one who gives the wealth, and you utilize it in the best possible manner to gain Allah's pleasure, so you've got nothing to worry. And safety from robbers and thieves, which we mentioned before, the people who's going to take over, and the people who's going to steal from your property. You're not worried about which factory has the insurance and whether the people who work in your factory are stealing from your factory. You don't have to worry about those things, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of things for you. And gaining, if you were to give constantly for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without even you wanting it, gaining the title of Kareem, generous, by the people and by the malaika. You are the Kareem. You are the generous, mashallah. You run for the help of anybody who's in need. Before they say anything, before we go to the government, let's go to Brother Muhammad, Brother Ahmed, because he is always there to give. Such a ni'mah. I heard this particular story from Sheikh Salim. He says, we went to collect some money to our Islamic school where we train Hufaz every year. 40, 50 of them graduate. And we're very popular amongst the people. So many of the wealthy Muslims, they contribute. He says, we went to one particular city, we presented our case, and the man gave us, like usual, real sizable amount. He owns quite a few factories. Quite a few factories, says. He makes millions, but he gives it to everybody. This intelligent person, smart person. And Allah gives him more. Because we became so close friends, he says, one day he confided in me. Actually, he says, I can still see the tears rolling down his cheeks. He said, Ustaz, I rather give everything that I own, all money, property, every single penny, in return of one ni'mah. One ni'mah. I didn't understand what is he saying. I said, what do you mean? He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me only one child, one son. MashaAllah, he's a very good boy. He is 18, 19. He is diagnosed with one particular condition. 1 in every 5 or 10 million people. He has no glands to produce any saliva in his mouth. Saliva in his mouth. Anything that he puts into his mouth, because and the mouth never heals from bleeding, his gums never heals from bleeding, inside his palates, upper and bottom palates never heal from bleeding. Any food that he takes into his mouth, you can see the blood is coming through his mouth. Young man, very intelligent, very obedient, prays 5 times a day, very good Muslim. He says, I would rather give all my wealth away for him to regain his, or for him to have saliva in his mouth. Ni'mah. We have saliva in our mouth. Next time you think of your saliva, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. What a ni'mah. The wealth in the hands of a salih Muslim is the best thing. In the hands of a bad Muslim is terrible. So this person is generous for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he gives other than for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a mura'i, a person who shows off, which is for nothing. Absolutely. And of course, such person, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the last, accompanying the righteous due to leaving the love of chasing this world, chasing wealth behind. So if you're a good Muslim, who will be your company? The Salihin, Siddiqeen, good Muslims. Because you will have time to go to the masjid. You will have time to keep the company of the people who are muttaqi and people of good akhlaq. People who don't lie, who don't cheat. The people who are abideen, who are people who are dhakireen. The people who advise one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma ja'alna minhum ya Rabbil alameen. Next is actually a saying from Sufyan al-Thawri, rahimahullah, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh. Sufyan al-Thawri was one of our imams, like Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Awza'i, Imam Dawood al-Zahiri, great mujtahid, mutlaq imam. He had a madhab of his own. He was such a pious Muslim, such a muttaqi Muslim. But he was a bit strict in his madhab. Therefore, the students 2 or 3 generations after died out, did not continue with the madhab. Initially, during their time, he lived during the time of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, radiallahu anh, another great imam. Initially, we had over 40 different madhahib. But after the process of elimination through time, not for any other reason, the students who continued to pass these teachings of their teachers, of their mujtahid imams, they survived. And 4 of them, as we know, survived into our times. the Hanafi school, the oldest, Maliki, the second Maliki school, third, the Shafi'i school, and fourth is the Hanbali school. Ahmad ibn Hanbal's school remain still in the world. Continues. So he is such a great mujtahid imam. He gives us a nasiha. أنه قال, he said, لا يجتمع في هذا الزمان لأحد مال إلا وعنده 5 خصال: طول الأمل، وحرص غالب، وشح شديد، وقلة الورع، ونسيان الآخرة. Subhanallah. He said, no one in this age accumulates, amasses wealth, chases dunya, except that he has 5 traits, 5 characteristics, 5 attributes, suffering from 5 diseases. Now, I ask you a question. When is he talking about? This time, he says. In this time, in this age. He's talking about 1,000 years ago. Because he lived in the early 300s, Hijri. Right? 1,100 years ago, he's talking about the condition of the Muslims. Look at the awareness. Look at the awareness of Islam amongst them, and look at ours. There is not even a comparison. What does he say? The only people who accumulates wealth, in other words, he says, runs after dunya without understanding what dunya is for, what wealth is for. Remember, Rasulullah says, لا حسد إلا fitnatain. There is no hasad, there is no envy except for 2 persons. Envy in the sense, ghibta. Ghibta means admiring. You want the same thing, because hasad is negative attribute. Hasad is you don't want the person to have it. 2 things. What is 2 things that you can admire on a person when you see it? First, Ataahu Allahu ilman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given that particular person ilm, knowledge, an alim. And he uses this particular knowledge for himself as well as judges people. He teaches people, teaches khair to people, judges between 2 people. He uses hikmah. This is something, a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, a person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given wealth, mal, riches. He uses this wealth to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. This is the person that we're talking about. But anybody who's outside this is afflicted by, if they've got the wrong formula, they've got the wrong mindset, wrong understanding of accumulating of wealth. For that reason, he says they're suffering from 5 mental diseases, or spiritual diseases, if you like. What are they? The first is tulul amal, a delusional state of the heart and the spiritual heart of a Muslim, that he thinks, this is given by Shaitan alayhi la'na, by the way, he thinks that he is not going to die. Therefore, he keeps on dreaming and dreaming of making plans about the future. More pipe dreams, we call it in English. Castles in the air. When I make my first million, I'm going to do this. When I get this, I'm going to graduate, and after I'm going to get married, I'm going to have 7 children, and after that, all of them going to be doctors, and I'll have my first Ferrari at the age of 40. And I'll have this, dreaming. Nothing to do with reality. Absolutely. And many people, they call this hope, they call this dream, whatever they want to call it. But this is tulul amal, one of the diseases of nafsul ammara, a heart where shaitan uses this. Shaitan deliberately, constantly whispers to you that you're not going to die. Everybody dies. We only get affected for a few minutes or few days when somebody close to us dies, and we go to the cemetery and say, oh, that's why I'm scared of death, and let me start doing my salat. Allahu Akbar, they start doing salat. After a week or so, salat is gone, because back to dunya again, back to internet again, back to music again, back to polluting the heart again. Then heart cannot think, mind cannot function. your spiritual intelligence, the center of your intelligence, cannot function. Therefore, you're back to dunya again. And dream. Tulul amal. Why do people constantly work day and night to become rich? Because money gives them ability to buy things, gives them power to realize their dreams. They think that they're going to be happy by buying things. My next Ferrari will make me more happier. I'm waiting for the new iPhone model 4.0. Oh, it's going to make me happy because I'll have the coolest device, gadget amongst my friends until next model comes up. This is how dunya is. Tulul amal. Tulul amal does many harms to us. Firstly, makes us forget that we are earthly things and we are mortal things. We're going to die. It makes us forget our akhirah. Makes us forget that we're going to die. Everybody dies. And we do not know when we're going to die. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next hour, maybe 100 years now. As Rasulullah says, 100 years now, he's talking to his companions, none of you shall ever exist. None of you. True. After who lives for 100 years these days? Even if you're 20 years now, 100 years after, nobody will even remember you. 100 years. Your grandchildren will not even remember you. All gone. We could only remember our father, grandmother, and grandfather. Do you remember your great-grandfather? They don't even know you, or you don't even know them. Finish, khalas. And yet, Shaitan alayhi la'na constantly says to us, dunya, you're not going to die. Plan more, work for more. Come on, take it easy. Tulul amal. If you're suffering from delusion by this tulul amal, if you're delusioned by this, you will chase this dunya for the wrong reasons, not the right reasons. We talked about right reasons before. Secondly, if you have tulul amal, automatically you will have within your heart hirs, greed, tama'. You have greed, avarice, that you want more. Nothing will satisfy you. Nothing will satisfy you. And you will never and ever experience tranquility and peace of heart. Because when the greed comes in, what comes out of the heart? Qana'ah, contentment. Al-qana'atu kanzun la yafna. Qana'ah is such a treasure, inexhaustible, undepletable. It's a credit card without any limits, and nobody asks any questions. If you have such credit card that's only yours, your molecular signature on it, that nobody else can use it, what worries do you have for money? You are the richest man on earth. You can buy anything in the world, correct? Can you imagine? Qana'ah is as such, Rasulullah says. But if you don't have qana'ah, your heart cannot take two things in your heart. It's a binary system. It's either on or off. It's either 0 or 1. Nothing else. It's either light or dark. You cannot have both in the same place. So if it's hasad, you can never have, if you have hasad, you can never have any peace of mind. If you have anger, you can never have hilm in your heart. If you are jahil, you can never have ilm in your heart. Two things cannot coexist. Similarly, if your heart is full of greed, hirs, it can never have qana'ah. Can never have qana'ah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Sufyan al-Thawri says, therefore, you will have, after tul al-amal, overpowering greed in your heart. You'll never have a moment of peace in your heart. And you will also, as a third, because you think that you are the cause, you are the reason why you are rich, not that Allah gave you. You work so hard, day and night, with your sweat and blood. This is your own working. You don't contribute to Allah, attribute it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, you become absolutely miserly. You become bakhil, stingy, tight. You're so tight-fisted that you don't want to give it to anybody. You don't even eat it yourself. You just lick it in the corner. Or you put the honey in the jar. You just lick the jar from outside. This is sickness, disease of the heart. Alqama, classic case. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he came to him as a young man. He's poor. He always used to come to the masjid. Constantly come to the masjid for every salat. Next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What a ni'mah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, can you please make dua for me? I want to become rich. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, don't wish for something that may be no good for you, maybe not khair for you. Wish for something that is khair for you. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you rich if it's khair for you. He says, no, Ya Rasulullah, please make dua for me that I want to become rich. Once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, 20 times, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, okay, I make dua for you. May Allah make you rich. And gave him 1 mule, female sheep, pregnant. Every sheep, how many times did they give? Lamb? Twice a year or once every year? I think once every year. I'm not really sure. This begin to give in multiples. Before you know it, instead of 1, he had a flock of sheep. How much? Maybe 10, 15. Not a problem, within a month or so. Now what do you do with this? You can't hand feed it. You need to take it outside. To where? To the meadows, where you have to find grass to eat. Okay, he took it. So after Fajr, he used to leave, and before Dhuhr come, he prays Dhuhr and go again. And after Dhuhr, he takes them again, and until Maghrib, and what have you. A time came, he began to miss the salat. Because the number is no longer 100, no longer 200, it's going in large number. Because it's constantly accumulating. It is barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's dua. A time has come, he misses all the salats in a day because he has to leave early before Fajr and he has to come back after Isha. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam keeps on asking, Ya Alqama, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He's not. And guess what? He began to miss Jum'ah also. A time has come. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it's over a year now. Now you, my officer, you go and collect a tax from him. What is a tax? Zakat, which is fard on him. He went and asked. Says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent me. This is the, how many you have? How many sheep you have? So I have 7,000, 8,000. And this is the zakat for it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is asking for the Baytul Mal. Zakat. He's asking for, he's going to give it to the fuqara. He lost it. Who lost it? Al-Qama. He says, this is my heart and blood and sweat. I work day and night. Nobody has the right to take it away from me. He just denied the zakat and left Islam at the same time. So we don't know what is khair for us. We don't know what is shar for us. Therefore, we always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, if you're going to make me rich, please, Ya Rabb al-Alameen, give me khair for me. Whatever khair for me. Whatever is good for me. Intense miserliness sets in after greed. Al-Qama, if he gave 100 sheep, 1,000 sheep, Allah would have given more. But he did not. Because greed and miserliness sets into the heart. Of course, lack of piety. What is lack of piety? The hadith says, the saying says, وَقِلَّةِ الْوَرَعِ. Wara' is not piety. It's above piety. Taqwa is piety. Taqwa is avoiding the harams of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your dealings every day. Wara' is avoiding what is even suspicious. It looks halal from the outer, but there is a chance that it might contain some element of haram. I'm not really sure. Better keep away from it. This is over-cautiousness in a particular given situation. Above taqwa. Haram is haram, yeah. Okay, I'm avoiding haram. But this particular food, this particular earning, it might contain some, don't know, it's dubious, shifty something, I'm not really sure. Rather, I keep away from it. This is called wara'. This is a good quality, a praiseworthy attribute of a Muslim. So, if a person is not, he doesn't have any, what do you call, he's got tul al-amal, and he's got hirs, greed in his heart, he's got what? Bakhil, bukhul in his heart, miserliness. Of course, do you expect him to be a good Muslim? Wara', he doesn't care, halal or haram. He says, Rabbana, give it to me, give it to me. Halal or haram. This servant of yours can accumulate and liquidate, no problem. This is the dua of that person. And finally, he will completely forget the reason why he was created in the first place. That this life is temporary. This life is هذه الحياة الدنيا لعب له, nothing else, just a game. Everybody's given a chance. This particular existence is short. And akhirah, in comparison to akhirah, is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. No matter what the number is, a positive or negative number, how many digits it has, as soon as you divide that particular digit, a set finite number, into an infinite, that 8 resting on its side, or into the 0, so to speak, you get 0. Life is nothing. This life has no value in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the Sahih Hadith, if this dunya had any value in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as much as a wing of a dead mosquito, wing of a gnat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have given a sip of water to drink to who? To a rejecter, a kafir, a non-believer. Allah gives it to them. But Allah in return wants us one thing. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. To be in a state of ibadah in every facet of our lives. From the moment that we are mukallaf until we breathe our last. وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every facet of your life. Keep Him in your heart and do everything to please Him. This is whatever you do, from mundane to profane, from mundane to profound, not profane, profound. Everything that you do will be an act of ibadah. Marriage becomes an ibadah. Spending time with your wife becomes an ibadah. Spending time with your children becomes an ibadah. Going to a picnic becomes an ibadah. And drinking water becomes an ibadah. Depends on how you look. But if you have missed the point, do you think that dunya is everything? You work for dunya constantly, you lose your focus. You're no longer focused on akhirah. You're completely blurred. All you see is dunya. You see yourself and nobody else. And hubbud dunya, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, رَأْسُ كُلُّ خَطِيئَةٍ. Let me just remind you again. All these sayings, both of them talking about our purpose in life. Being rich, there is no harm in being rich. As long as you are a salih Muslim and you can utilize and use this to gain Allah's subhanahu wa ta'ala pleasure. Every Muslim in this day and age should be a millionaire, minimum. But a good Muslim first. I asked some young people, what do you want to be when you grow up? He says, I'm going to be an engineer. Father's an engineer. Okay, what do you want to be? He says, I'm going to become something. What do you want to become? I want to become chemical something. What do you want to become? I want to become doctor, lawyer. All good, well and good, but you have missed the point. Before being anything else, you need to become a good Muslim first. Good servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. Once you're a good servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have the right mindset. Doesn't matter what you want to be afterwards. Okay, pursue. You're intelligent, you're talented. Become a lawyer, become a lawyer. Become a doctor, become a doctor. Whatever people are running after gives you more money. Become the best businessman. Be a role model, but be a good Muslim first. Taqwa here. Without taqwa, without fear of Allah, without being focused on what you do, you are just at a loss. Even if the whole dunya is yours, you became the most powerful man on earth, the most, richest person on earth, the greatest politician on earth, where you hold the red button to exploit the whole world. It means absolutely jack. Nothing. Because it means nothing in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before becoming anything else, we need to become a good Muslim. How's our time going? قال قائل إشعارا. One of the things that Ibn Hajar Asqalaani rahimahullah, he does is he puts inserts, couplets according to the theme that he's talking about, at the end of each chapter almost, he puts some poetry. This was the style of the ulama in those days. Poetry these days all dead. Since the invention of music in the masses, people listen to lyrics which absolutely rubbish, has all full of nafsani, the feelings, shahawat, lusts and nothing else. People stop writing poetry. People cannot express things in their hearts because they are always passively entertained on the internet or the television. Their heart has no time to think. So the people who had no television at that time and their hearts were alive, they used to write with hikmah, certain words. Listen to one of the poets which says the following. Bottom of page 60. قال قائل إشعارا يا خاطب الدنيا إلى نفسه إن لها في كل يوم خليلا نستنكح البعل وقد وطئت في موضع آخر منه بديلا ما أقبل الدنيا لخطابها لقتلهم قتيلا قتيلا إني لمغتر وأن البلاء يعمل في جسمي قليلا قليلا تزودوا للموت زادا فقد نادى المنادي الرحيل الرحيل رحيلا. A poet said, O you who seek the hand of this dunya in marriage, who wants to get engaged to this world, know that she has a new lover every day. She takes a husband now, yet gives herself at the same time to another elsewhere. She only accepts lovers so that she may kill them in her bosom one by one. I have been fooled, my friend, that the affliction is spreading, and the affliction is spreading in my body little by little, killing me slowly, slowly. Ready yourself and take provisions for death, for the herald, the crier has called, it's time to leave, it's time to leave. Correct translation or not? I can, if you like, I can read to you the same poem in Farsi, Persian, which I had it in my notes here. Maju durusti ahd az jihani susnihad ki in ajuz arus hazar damad est. What does that mean? He says, you see this weak women, aguza. Ajuza is old woman who has thousands of kilos of makeup on. For a person who looks from a distance, she looks so attractive. And yet, when you come closer, she is ajuza, old woman, thousands of years old. Don't expect any wafa from her. Don't expect any royalty, sadaqa from her. Because this ajuza, she has 1,000 other husbands besides you. Don't expect anything in return. Tell me, where is Qarun? Where is Genghis Khan? Where is Luqman Hakim? Where is Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Where is Nuh alayhi salam, who lived for 950 years minimum? Where are they? Where is Qawm Aad? Where is Qawm Thamud? Where is your great-grandfather and mother who were more handsome, more intelligent than you were, more wiser than you were? Where are they? The people who give their hearts to this worldliness, the dream, this delusion, this deception, they live in the matrix. Nothing else. An intelligent Muslim is the one who wakes up earlier in the piece, at a young age, at your age, and plan his life accordingly. First, I am created for a purpose here, and my purpose is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Allah is the one who created this life and death of yours to test you. Before you come to us, with how much good deeds you've done, for what reason, you need to know. Nothing happens by a chance. You're given, as your soul is given a body, your avatar. And you are on Pandora. The reality is that that body, avatar, will come to an end, will go back to the soil. Your inner, your rider, your ruh will go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On that day, when you meet your Lord, when you go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing will avail you, nothing will help you, nothing will come to your aid or assistance. None of your children that you used to be so proud of, so many of them, none of the wealth that you could buy everything in this life will ever come to your help, except this heart, not your physical heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you for a purpose, not to worship this dunya, not to give your whole everything to this dunya, for you to realize who you are. Find your path properly of taqwa, husnul khuluq, ibadah, ta'at to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and avoiding all forms of cheating others, huquq al-ibad, and living a life based on sharia, the guidelines of Quran and Sunnah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us, to the best of your ability, with sincerity, with ikhlas, with knowledge, with amal al-salihah, with haya, that you are so ashamed of doing the wrong things, because you know that one day you're going to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to question you. Once you have developed this particular psyche, this particular mindset, you are a true Muslim. Believe me, nobody stays here. Nobody stays here. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day, and I'm going to say this hadith and finish. He said to his companions, just imagine a bridge over a river, divides two villages from one another. There are two, one village on this side and one village on this side. And there is only one big bridge that everybody uses almost every minute, with their animals, their horses, everybody. If one of you, he says, were to go and try to build a house on top of that bridge, what will people do to you? What will people say to you? Will they allow you? They said, no, Ya Rasul, that man is the silliest person on earth. Why would you on the, Westgate Bridge or Harbour Bridge, right in the middle of the freeway, you try to bring the construction, the worker says, build a house for me, I'd like to view from here. What will they do to you? The police will come and charge you first. When they see your mental state, they lock you up in the mental institution because you lost it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, he who gives his heart to this dunya, wants to plan everything for this dunya and neglects his akhirah, is like that person trying to build a house on top of the bridge that everybody wants to pass through. This dunya is a just passing phase. We came from where? Alam al-arwah, the world of the spirits. Then we came into this particular world, Alam al-mushahada, or whatever the people call natural, this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrapped around meat, organic matter into the soul. We got the avatar. The neurological thinking happened. And we begin to develop tastes, the things that we never experienced before. We begin to develop tastes, We call them shahawat. And in each year, the stages in our life, it develops 5 different levels. Shahwatul batan, food, desire for food. Shahwatul farj, desire for, what do you call? Copulation. Desire for hubbul mal, jam'i mal. Then hubbu jah and maqam and hubbul riyasa. Every human being goes through this. But at the time of death, this particular meat loaf, avatar, is completely taken away and you go back to where you came from. Once you came out of this body, your wrapping goes to the ground. Do you think I am talking to you? My body is talking to you? Wallahi not. It's my soul that talks to you. If the soul, this force comes out of me, you can ask my tongue to speak, it will not talk. Has nothing, it's just an avatar. The one that listens to me at the moment is the rider, not your body. It's just a facilitator. The reality is very starking, but we choose to ignore this reality. We will all go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, عَبَسًا. Do you think we have created you for vain reason? You just a random occurrence? Do you think that you shall not be لا ترجعون? You shall not be returned back to us for questioning? Do you think so? Allah is making a rhetorical statement, question. Definitely you shall come back to us. This dunya is fleeing pleasure. Everything is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are created. Once we are separated from this flesh and soul, we go to another alam called alamul barzakh. There is a wall, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Nothing can come back again. Finished. Your test is over. Pens are down. You are doodling with your pen. And he says, oh, I'm good. I can answer any time. And a bell says, pen's down. Your pen's down. I just wrote my name on it. Yes, we know. You fail. Can I go back, please? I beg you. Impossible. Then alam al-barzakh, you go to alam al-akhirah, the other side. Never come back. Nobody comes back. This is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. An intelligent Muslim is the one who prepares himself for the hereafter. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, people go to the same masjid, pray the same salat, but will be given hasanat, reward, according to their level of intelligence. They said, Ya Rasulullah, isn't this unfair? Some people are endowed with intelligence, some people are not, just simpletons. He says, that's not the intelligence I'm talking about. The real intelligent person is the one who keeps away from the harams of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has taqwa, who is focused and who is planned, who is working towards a goal of gaining Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. Otherwise, everything in life is just an empty pursuit. Nothing else. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of the switched on people, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts and awaken our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revive our dead hearts, inshallah ta'ala. And allow us to maintain that heart in a state that is pleasing to Him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam into our hearts. Love of His Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam into our hearts. Understanding and love of His Quran into our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala endow us with His muhabbah, His own love and His ma'rifah, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of the people of yaqeen, certainty. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us haya, give us taqwa, give us wara'. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala get rid of all the other diseases that He dislikes, called under the heading of akhlaq al-razila, the despicable, blameworthy attributes from our hearts. Allow us to purify our nafs al-ammara and come close to Him, and people of ikhlas. Allahumma ja'alna min al-mukhlasoon. The people who are so sincere that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts their sincerity. Not any sincerity, but a sincerity which is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our faults, shortcomings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to make tawbatan nasuha, true tawbah, sincere tawbah that really changes our lives. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the audacity, the strength to keep our promise and our tawbah intact, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to have partners, if we are not married yet, who are salih and amongst the salihat, that inshallah who will hold our hand and take us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together, not a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always give us what is khair for us, for our children, for our family lives, for our dunyawi life and for our akhirah life. We wish from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what is goodness, that He defines as goodness, hasana, give it to us in this world, and hasana in the hereafter also, and protect us from hellfire. We only seek this from the mercy and none other than the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is Arhamur Rahimeen, the best of the mercy givers, and He is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In His treasures never depleted, His treasures never exhausted. We only ask of Him, and we only beg Him, we only implore from Him. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العظيم.